Okay, there were some questions on the rotors I built for these motors. So this is 20 centimeters wide, acrylic plastic, only 1.5 millimeters thick. That's all. The magnets are 20 millimeters, and they're also 1.5 millimeters thick, and they're neodymiums grade 52. I glue the magnets in with super glue gel. If you have a lot of gap, you can use hot glue, just a little bit of it, and then hit it with super glue after. And I coat it with epoxy after it's all done. And then I sand the epoxy down. Here's some other rotors. These have only 8 magnets, not 16. You can see the epoxy, it's very thick. I haven't sanded these yet. This is what Romero UK did. He had 8 magnets in the rotor. I have 16. I just added extra magnets in between. My magnets face all the same polarity. This is acrylic plastic, but Lexan, L-E-X-A-N, is the best plastic, but I couldn't find any. I got this stuff off eBay. And you want it so when you spin it, it like doesn't move. It's just perfect. You don't want any warp, you don't want any wobble. Okay, the way I did that is you do not tighten these nuts on each side. You can tighten them, but then loosen them up and have a little bit of air gap. A little bit of air gap right here between the nut and the washer. And then with it kind of loose there, you get it so it's perfect. And then add super glue gel in that air gap. Go around and do it a couple times, really fill it, and do that on both sides. And that's the way I got this to be very flat and true. I locked it in place by drilling a hole right through the axle with a real thin drill bit, just like bzz, right through the axle. And then I put a nail in there. You can see it's a little copper coated nail. Looks like this. So you can see the nail sticking out there. So I did a slot in the rotor, a hole through the shaft. And then I gooped it all with super glue too, of course, gel. And so that's how it's locked in place. If you try and lock it in place by just tightening these nuts, it's going to just warp it. It's going to be terrible. So, and these are those locking type. They have a little bit of rubber stuff here. Locking type nuts. I like the little round edge here that fits against the axle. This is masking tape saturated with super glue. That's my fiber washer, called her sleeve. And this makes it so the bearing fits on there really nice and snug, just like perfect. And that's how you get the bearings tight. And if the bearings are loose, it'll like make for lots of wobble out here. So you need really tight bearings, and you don't want any clacky sounds going on. So there's that. Oh, I want to say when I here it is. Okay, so here's a rotor under construction. Here's the, and what you do is by hand, it's 20 millimeter wide magnet, so I use this drill bit, this type, and this is also, this pointy end is really good for drilling smaller holes too. Regular drill bits will bind in the plastic, and also it'll kind of spin and go off center, but these are nice for drilling into this plastic. Now on the edge, out here on the edge, I mean, there's a good chance you'll crack it because it's pretty brittle stuff, this acrylic plastic. So I go around and I first by hand go for about like a minute like this, and I make a nice pretty thick groove in there, and I do both sides by hand, and then afterwards I use an electric drill and I zip right through it. And then I kind of file the inside, after the hole's made, I file the inside edges kind of rough. Then I use super glue gel to put the magnets in. So that's how I do the rotors. And I guess that's it. Okay, thanks for watching.